Hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Jared Fry, General Manager and Public Information Officer for the City of Medina and Medina TV.
One of the core values of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce is business advocacy. We've been proud to partner with Medina TV on this voter education series for well over 10 years now. We're grateful to our interviewer and General Manager of Medina TV, Jared Fry, and our producer, Matt Tomick.
We're grateful for all the candidates that took part in the Candidates Forum, but we also want to stress that the opinions of those candidates are not those necessarily of Medina TV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
All candidates in contested races were invited to participate in this voter education program.
We want all voters to be informed to their best of the ability as they head to the ballot this November, so sit back and relax and enjoy our Candidates Forum.
We encourage you to make a plan to vote this November.
Joining me now in studio is the incumbent candidate for the U.S. Congress 7th District, Max Miller. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Great to have you. And first, just for the viewers at home, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I grew up in Northeast Ohio my entire life, and it's an honor and a privilege to be in this capacity. I graduated from Cleveland State University, and then right after that, I enlisted into the Marine Corps with a bachelor's degree. I was proud to enlist in the Marine Corps Infantry. I remember where I was on 9/11. I believe I was in sixth grade or seventh grade. And I remember when my teacher rolled in that TV and how much that meant to me. And when my mother picked me up and explained what happened on that day, and it was a commitment that I followed through with, much like the commitment that I follow through with today, serving the people of the 7th District. And growing up in Northeast Ohio, we have certain values that we like to, go ahead and familiarize people with, and that's God, family, country, and respecting one another, regardless of political differences. And so that is really what our campaign has been about. Very positive, and will continue to be that way. But we are an individual, and we're a body that cares about the people of the 7th District, and will continue to as we go along.
Now, tell us a little bit about the role of a congressman in the 7th District for people that just may not know the role they play.
Yeah, the most important role, and I want to be clear, that any legislator can take is taking care of their constituents. Something needs to be abundantly clear to legislators back in Congress, which is that I work for you, and I work for everybody in the 7th District, regardless if there is an R or a D next to your name. And so every single day we will provide the best constituent services that we possibly can to the people of the 7th District. And that is taking care of people who need appointments outsourced for veterans, disability, IRS getting money back from the federal government, as we have returned more than $5 million back from the federal government to our constituents' pockets during a very tough economy. Working through immigration cases that we are successfully getting people the legal way to be a United States citizen of this great country. That is the greatest work that we can do in Congress. And yes, we do go to D.C. and we do have spats and we do pass policy and focus on that. But the biggest difference that I've seen is if you represent your district by the people who live there and not yourself, you will have a successful recipe in a great community around you.
And that leads me perfectly into the next question. As you balance, you talk about the constituents and then the work down in D.C. How do you handle that balance of local versus as you look at the nation as a whole?
Yeah. I listen to our constituents. Every single vote that we take in Congress, we get feedback from the people of the 7th District. And we don't listen to the lobbyists or talking heads in Washington, D.C. When we evaluate a piece of legislation, I look at, does this benefit the 7th District or does it not benefit the 7th District? And if something benefits the 7th District by, say, 55%, well, it's 55% better for everyone in our district than not. And that is the type of mentality we need in Congress in order to make the right type of progress, because I've never met anyone in my entire life, in 35 years of me being around, that everyone has ever gotten whatever they've wanted. That is not how Congress works. A good deal is where both sides leave unhappy. And we need to get to that point in Congress, and we can get to that point here in the 7th.
And how would you, one of the issues is, of course, business, whether it's small business or larger business here in the counties you serve. What is your goals or things you would like to accomplish for those businesses?
Yeah, I would love to see the Smith-Wyden tax bill finally get across the finish line that we passed out of the House. That lowers the interest deductible, it has the R&D tax credit, and it ups the child tax credit, I believe, by $1,500 to $2,000, as we are a very pro-family, pro-child party, and that is what we want to see be implemented. And with those initiatives, there is no political bias any which way. Those policies in the Smith-Wyden tax bill, I want to be clear, are good for every American, regardless if you're a Republican, Democrat, or independent. These are pro-growth principles that make sense. And just to touch on the TCJA. The TCJA, the Trump tax cuts, need to be extended. Otherwise, the average American can see upwards to $1,500 or $1,800 more in their taxes every single year if those aren't extended. We need to get to work in Congress together to make sure that we can accomplish the good of the American people. And that I know that we can get across the finish line with both of those two great tax packages.
Mm-hmm. And then another issue is in terms of taxes. In fact, there are 3 issues on the ballot this November for school districts. As far as school funding, I think one of them is 2 operating levies and 1 bond issue. What are your thoughts in regards to school funding?
When it comes to school funding, I really do leave it up to the municipalities. I've had people from Strongsville and Cuyahoga County court me about their school levy and other villages and townships and cities throughout our district. And what I tell people in that city, in that municipality, village, or township is, vote your conscience, and if the community wants to continue to support it, then I will be there with you. But I want to see a quorum of that, and so my position on those issues are left to the mayors who have the best oversight, and the city council and some of the trustees that are in our townships to make those best decisions for their communities. I don't think they like when I get in their lane. I don't know if I want to get into theirs, but if they ask me for help, I'm happy to help.
Mm-hmm. Now, another big issue here in the at least the Medina County area is affordable housing. Whether it's a young family just trying to get started, maybe a senior trying to downsize. What are your thoughts with affordable housing?
Well, as we've seen right now with the economy and inflation, which is still steady at around 6 to 7%, that this country is now affordable for our youngest generations, that we now have 18, 19, 20-year-olds who are going to be stuck in their parents' basements because interest rates are still way too high for your average American to go out and to start a family and to buy a home. And there are certain things that we can do in order to make that a reality for every American. And in Congress, what it comes down to is to get our budget in order and to pass 12 appropriations bills, which we have failed in Congress for the last few decades, regardless of what party has been in charge of the House. The last time it happened was under Speaker Newt Gingrich. But when it comes to affordable housing, I'm proud to say that we got an appropriation with Sharon Ray to put up 40 units for veterans for affordable housing through the AHA in Medina County. But we need to be doing more, and we need to be doing a lot more, but that has to come from the economy. And members of Congress have to do their jobs to free up more of the mandatory spending budget in order for us to not go over the fiscal cliff and to save ourselves from what is eventually coming, which is the absolvency of Medicare and Medicaid, Social Security, that we need to prevent from happening in the next 6 to 8 years.
Again, we're speaking with Max Miller, the incumbent candidate for the U.S. Congress 7th District. And Max, you've been involved in politics for a while here, and I always like to ask everyone that comes in here. I believe anyone who's running is making that great leap here to enter the political arena. What is your passion that drives you to take part in politics?
I've always had this passion for public service, and I remember when I was a little kid and I was walking the streets of Cleveland, Ohio with my grandmother, Ruth Miller, who I love very much, who passed away too soon. And she looked at me and she said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I remember looking at my grandmother and I said, and I saw a homeless individual, and I said, I want to help that person. And my entire life, as I've gone through my life, I've wanted to help people, and whether that's enlisting in the Marine Corps to help our country fight, or whether that's, you know, serving in a public capacity or working for other public officials, even in volunteer capacities, what drives me is that I want to see the greatest country in the world stay the greatest country in the world. But I also want to see decorum come back. I also want to see people treat each other with respect, and that starts at Capitol Hill. And if things are happening on Capitol Hill that are disrespectful, and staffers are coming up to members, which they are, and not acting appropriately or professionally, then that decorum happens on the outside of Capitol Hill. And we need to change that. And our country, I think, is desperate for that individual in the middle who is sensible, who's going to make pragmatic decisions. And that's why I'm so invested in this, is to produce a great outcome for the people of the 7th District, to make sure they feel safe in their communities, to make sure they have more money in their pocketbooks, to make sure that when they know they can look at their representative, wow, you know what? I may not always agree with him, but I like that guy because he's a man of his word. And that is exactly what I believe that we need to bring back to the body of Congress and to this seat and to writ large all 434 other seats in Congress. Because if more people had the mentality that Congress was a continuous education, and that if they didn't know everything, the amount of what we can achieve, even in a very tumultuous Congress, is historic. And I'll just tell you, in a tumultuous Congress, I was able to get $17.8 million brought back to our district for critical infrastructure and police and fire as Speaker McCarthy was vacated. We got that done. This year, we advocated and we are getting $31 million of funding, your taxpayer dollars brought back. That is going to help with critical infrastructure and police and fire. We doubled the amount. Even in a tumultuous Congress, if you have somebody who's dedicated to the job like we all are in our office, you will get that outcome. And that is why I'm so dedicated to serving the people of the 7th and to want to wake up every day and to take a beating, because that's what it is. But I put a smile on my face and I do it for everybody else, and it's an honor to do so.
What is probably the thing you're most proud of doing serving in the 7th District?
I'm going to go right back to constituent services. I think it's the very best thing a legislator can do is to take care of the people who put that person there to advocate for them in Washington, D.C. I love going to events, and we're going to go to a couple today. And I promise you that a few people will come up to me and say, you know, Congressman Miller, thank you so much for that handwritten note, or thank you for solving that claim. I mean, even before today, we had an individual who came up to me who said, thank you for helping us with our immigration claim. That's incredibly rewarding. That is the work of a legislator. It's not going to D.C. and getting in front of a camera and saying something to get somebody's attention or to get extra fundraising dollars. It's about doing the work of the people, and that's simply why I don't do a lot of interviews, is that we keep our head down, we do the work of the people, and it's an honor to do so.
Again, speaking with Max Miller, the incumbent for the U.S. Congress 7th District. If reelected, what's probably the biggest thing you would like to improve on?
If reelected, I would really like to see us work on the national debt. I know I brought it up just a little bit ago, but what concerns me the most and what keeps me awake at night, besides the threats to our country that we know of and some that we don't, is the national debt. You know, we have two programs, healthcare and Social Security, that make up roughly 3/4 of the mandatory spending budget in Congress. And we have to have the moral fortitude to do what is right. And by what is right is to look at these programs responsibly and efficiently. It's not to make cuts. It's not to take away any benefits. My concern is that if Republicans or Democrats don't look at these programs, they will be absolvent in 6 to 8 years, and then we can do nothing about it. And that is the story that we need to tell the American people. Give members of Congress the opportunity to work on your behalf, to get this done for all of you so these programs do not go absolvent. That should be on top of everybody's mind so we can continue to take care of our seniors on these programs. And, you know, unfortunately, people have been using Social Security as a safety net when it never was supposed to be set up for one. But we have to make sure that these individuals who have paid into the program, who are at the tail end of their lives, are supported, who also paid taxes to this country. But that is what we need to focus on. It's not to hurt anybody, to be clear. It is really to save our country from ourselves, because we don't know what is going to happen if we fall off the fiscal cliff. Economists have many different ideas as to what may happen in theories, but no one knows for certain. And I would like to avoid that. And I think that every American, regardless of political affiliation, should want to avoid that as well for their own families and their own futures that lie ahead.
Again, speaking with Max Miller, the incumbent for the U.S. Congress 7th District. I want to thank you for taking your time with me today to answer questions I had for you, but I want to make sure I give you the opportunity. If there's anything I missed or something you'd like to tell the voters directly, I'll give you the floor and you can talk directly to them.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's been an honor to serve everyone in the 7th District over the last 22 months since I've been in office. And everything that we have done, I understand that I work for you. You do not work for me. And that is the mentality. If more members of Congress had, we can get a lot more work done. And I'm proud to let you know that I fulfilled my promise. I gave 25% of my salary, your taxpayer dollars, last year to the Medina Technical Educational Career Center. And this year, I'm giving 25% of my salary to the Wayne County Career Center for Technical Education. We are 2% down in the trades, and this is how we can get our youngest generations to work with their hands to build a debt-free life for every single American. If there is anything that we can do for any of you, we have 2 district offices. One is in Parma on Ridge Road, and the other one is in Public Square in Medina County. God bless you all. This has been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy these. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Again, Max Miller, the incumbent for U.S. Congress 7th District. Max, thank you for your time today, and I wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you very much.